Hey guys, it's Kay and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm flipping through my latest sketchbook. I actually finished and recorded this almost 5 months ago, but I didn't have the time to do the voiceover until now. My original plan was to do the sketchbook tour right after I finished it. However, with university and my private life, I forgot that I still needed to do this. Nevertheless, today is the day I show you the most practical sketchbook I've ever filled. Here are some facts about the sketchbook. This is the 12th sketchbook I've ever completed. It's from the artist and YouTuber Drawing Like a Sir, and it's actually the second sketchbook of his that I've used. It has a total of 120 pages, 140 grams per square meter paper, and a hardcover. I started it on February 15, 2025 and wrapped it up on August 28, 2025. So it took me about 6 months to finish. I had quite an interesting journey with the sketchbook. I started right before my diploma course began and finished it before I was even halfway through the course. My main focus for the sketchbook wasn't to create beautiful pages. Instead, I focused on improving my gesture drawing and line confidence. At the time, I felt that my drawings had become a bit stiff and I wasn't satisfied with my line work. To improve, I dedicated the sketchbook to building my skills and knowledge. Besides that, I also used it a lot for warm-up sketches before working on actual illustrations or to do scribbled down quick thumbnail ideas that came to my mind. So I can't say much about every single sketch. Talking about gesture drawings and random sketches here and there wouldn't be super interesting. So that is also the reason why it's only a quick flip through instead of going through every single page. Anyways, let's talk about the art supplies I used in the sketchbook. As you can see, I used a lot of different supplies while filling the sketchbook. My intention was to use only old art supplies that I've owned for many years. Over the years, I've gathered quite a collection. Besides high-quality brands like Ohuhu or Copic markers, I also have a bunch of no-name brands and materials that aren't really my style, like colored pencils. Since I had used this type of sketchbook before and wanted this to be a practical book, it was the perfect opportunity to test these old art supplies. I wanted to see if they were actually bad or if they just weren't for me. And that's basically the reason why this whole sketchbook looks so chaotic. To be honest, I'm really glad I finished the sketchbook quickly because I disliked it. It's not just about the sketches I did or the fact that some of them look awful in my opinion. The problem for me was the sketchbook itself. First of all, I hate how thick it is. With 120 pages, it's very thick right from the start, which makes it inconvenient to use it. Every time I opened it, one side always lifted off the desk, creating a big gap. It was so distracting that I consistently had to place another book underneath it just to keep it flat enough to draw comfortably. I disliked having to use a second book just to keep the pages balanced, so that is one thing I will pay attention to when I buy a new sketchbook. Another thing I didn't like was the paper. It has a grainy texture and is fairly thick, which means you can use watercolor or gouache. However, since I didn't intend to use those mediums, I didn't really try them in this book. However, I tried them in my previous sketchbook and they do work, but you have to be careful on how much water you use. Another thing I noticed is that it is not meant for alcohol markers. On the website it says you can use markers, but in my experience that is a bit of a lie. The first time I tried alcohol markers in here, I used Copic Ciao markers and I didn't expect what would happen. When I started coloring, the paper absorbed the ink so fast that I had zero control over how much ink I was using. Plus, it tends to bleed and spread more than you would want. It soaks up ink so fast that I think I lost about 3 to 5 no brand markers to the sketchbook, which was okay since I wanted to get rid of my old supplies, but I wouldn't recommend using high quality markers like Copic or Ohuhu in it. Finally, since I'm not a fan of texture paper, I didn't like how the pencil felt on it either. The only positive aspect is that this is the first sketchbook where I actually managed to fill every single page, but that's basically it. I tried thinking about other positive aspects about the sketchbook, but there wasn't a single one, I think. I think the only other positive aspect is that the hardcover is, well, nice designed and that is good for traveling, but that's basically it. Overall, I think this might be my most boring sketchbook of all time. Even though it has 120 pages, it somehow feels like not much happened in there. I did tons of gesture studies and worked on my line confidence, and you can definitely see some improvement, but I'm still a bit unhappy with it. I also have to admit that I rushed through it because I disliked the sketchbook itself, but still I wanted to finish it since I paid for it. However, I think that was a bad idea because it ruined my relationship with the book. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, I would really appreciate it if you liked it and hit the subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye!